Oh, Pearl Davis. I got I got a little love for this girl. She's she's no looker. Like she's not like, it's not that I love the look of her or anything, but she is fantastic. She's just got common sense. She oozes common sense. It's it's just nice to hear, especially with what goes on. If you see like these other podcasts that are out there, like the Whatever podcast and Fresh and Fit and stuff, and they're talking of all these, you know, these Miami um, club going girls, and they just honestly just sound stupid. And then you get a girl like this who speaks with common sense. I mean, sometimes she leans pretty hard on the conservative end. And again, I'm not really a conservative, but I'm more of a centrist, right? I'm more of a moderate. So I'll be like, "Ooh, that's a little strong," but I get the sentiment, right? I'm going to read this little article. It's not very long. That Talk TV did about her. I guess she said a couple of things in when she was on Pierce Morgan, and she had Emily Ratajkowski on there, and I guess she was whatever. She said a couple of things. Here's one of the things she said. She said, "Men tend to be better people," and so that's when she's talking about traditional wives. So here we go. So controversial commentator, it's funny, Pear Davis, it's Pearl Davis, has claimed men tend to be better people than women. Speaking to Talk TV's Pierce Morgan on the trend for women to return to traditional housewife roles rather than going out to work, she said the union of marriage has changed. It's good that we're seeing a return to traditionalism because marriage isn't marriage anymore, she said. We have things like no fault divorce. You can just leave if you're unhappy. I agree. I've said this for years. I've said marriage doesn't mean much anymore because back before divorce was, I don't, I'm not sure if divorce was ever outlawed necessarily, but it was really, really hard to get divorced back, even 60, 70 years ago. It's really hard to get divorced. It wasn't like now it's just no fault divorce. Like, I don't like you. I want a divorce. Done. Divorce. Easy. It's just division of assets at this point. But so because of that, it's kind of diminished the idea of marriage. It's just if it's so easy to do, like like anything. Here, I'll use something that maybe some of you can relate with. Video games. I was making this comment the other day, speaking to Tyler actually, about cheat codes in video games. If you play a video game and then you get a cheat code and you can have everything you want like that, the game loses interest because now you have no there's there's nothing to have to work to attain. The same with like a marriage like this. You get married and it's like, okay, rough times. Nah, I don't like you. Let's just get divorced. And it's fairly easy to get divorced. You'll get a lot more divorces. But if conversely, if divorce is really hard and it's a difficult process altogether, and it's altogether something that's society is against, on the norm essentially, people are going to avoid getting it. And there's, of course, there's always two camps to everything. You could say, well, that's going to make women have to stay in abusive relationships more and things like that. Okay, yeah, maybe, but actually, I shouldn't say maybe. Yes, for sure. Um, what what's the is it better to just now have divorces run rampant and the family dynamic being destroyed, or is it, or do we try and work on that subsection of marriage and say, okay, well, we have women when they claim to be uh, um, abused or anything like that, then put more uh, we can put more emphasis and more resources into working on that as opposed to just making it easy for people to just get divorced simply, right? So, anyways, I go on this all day. I'll continue to read this very small article. So it said Pearl added that marriage used to be about duty, and the dynamic of family changes when a woman goes out to work. Men are better people than us. Men will actually stick things out, she said. Yeah, she's being funny when she says that. She's not saying, oh, I just think men wholeheartedly are better than women. She's just saying they're better in that regard, that they'll stick it out, which I think is probably true. A man is more likely to go through a hard time like that and really try and stick it out than a woman would in most cases. Women are with kids and such. Oh, women are second to none that way. So a man wouldn't have the same strengths when it comes to kids or any of that kind of thing. But I think when it comes to like the devotion of a marriage, I think a man would probably be more. It would feel like he was more. Uh, he'd have more responsibility to make sure that that actually worked. So I agree with her there, but and I get what she's saying. The modern mentality is me before the family. I say traditionalism is family before me. Family doesn't work when it's about you. It comes as divorce and marriage are increasingly becoming a frontier in the culture wars. Feminists reject it as dated, while trad wives, that's the new term for traditional housewives, who cook and clean while their husbands go to work, say it binds society. U.S. model and former actress Emily Ratajkowski recently claimed it was chic to be divorced before the age of 30. In a video published on TikTok, the 32-year-old mother who divorced 2 years ago said, "There's nothing better than being in your 30s, still being hot, maybe having a little bit of your own money." For all those people who are feeling stressed about that, being divorced, it's good. Congratulations. Okay. Let's say that kind of stuff. Uh, I've been divorced. I am divorced. Whatever. It's not good. Nobody wants to be divorced. Nobody got into it going, "Oh, cool, I'm glad I'm divorced." No, I regret decision to get married to that person. Um, it's whatever it was. It was what it was. But I'm not happy to be divorced or anything. I'm happy to be out of that relationship. So, anyways, so S.D. Williams, 25, has amassed hundreds of thousands of followers by showing off her trad life online, and even gave up her job to be the perfect wife. Speaking to Talk TV's Pierce Morgan, she said, "I think it's a lovely choice if a woman wants to simply be a wife and a mother. It's a simple way of living with traditional gender roles. It's balanced. Women have already proven that they can have it all, but at what cost?" But commentator Grace Blakely said that women should not pursue their lives based on the sex that you were born into at birth. Over history, there have been many marriages where people have been very unhappy and forced to stay. It could have been it could have been an abusive marriage. I just said all that, yeah. You have one life, why wouldn't you stay why would you stay with someone who doesn't make you happy? I agree with all that. But um, that reason for being divorced shouldn't be that you're unhappy in a moment. Life is cycles. You can be unhappy at a time, but then you can work it out and suddenly you're great. I have friends that split up and then got back together and now are now married and have 2 kids. So it's a good thing that, like they weren't married, but it's a good thing that they had that time to sort of, you know, figure it out and then get back together. They didn't really quit on each other. It was kind of like a weird situation. I won't get too much into that, but you know, if you've decided to get married, I think you should work it out. I think you should try and work it out, unless there's abuse, there's physical abuse, and let's be clear about abuse. We all mentally abuse each other. Let's be real. Call you an asshole. That's mental abuse, I guess, or like a verbal abuse. But abuse. Let's be real about what abuse is. Anyways, so let's get back to Pearl here. She she's a cool. She's like she's the opposite side of the feminist fight, which is nice to hear something on that end to kind of bring some logic towards the middle. Because I think while she's a little strong, uh, I tend to agree with a lot of what she's saying because it's kind of based in common sense and it's not really based on a lot of emotion. When you get emotion out of these kinds of debates, I think you get a lot more done. You don't get muddied up in the weeds, right?